Governor Pritzker also turning to social media to take some shots at some of President Trump's early moves in the second term, including Trump's executive order to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America.
A great lake deserves to be named after a great state. So today, I'm issuing a proclamation declaring that hereinafter, Lake Michigan shall be known as Lake Illinois. The proclamation has been forwarded to Google to ensure the world's maps reflect this momentous change.
Also in the video, Pritzker went on to say Illinois plans to annex Green Bay from neighboring Wisconsin, an obvious dig at Trump's comments about the U.S. taking possession of Greenland. Is the Illinois governor positioning himself as the president's biggest troll? NewsNation political contributor and the former chairman of the Washington, D.C. Democratic Party, A. Scott Bolden, is with us. I mean, it made us laugh.
It's pure entertainment. You know, JB is a billionaire from a billionaire family, too. So this is like the battle of the billionaires. I tell you, the Chicago Bears would have a real problem annexing the Green Bay Packers and becoming one. So I don't think that's going to fly. But, you know, JB Pritzker, he's running. He's a candidate in 2020. What is it, 2028, I think? Or he's perceived to be one. Two, he's in a blue state. Three, the judges there, federal and state judges. I'm from Joliet, Illinois. My dad was a state judge, as you know. They don't take kindly to opposition coming from outside the state. He's right about that. And like I said, they're a blue state. And under the Constitution, states can create their own laws so long as they're not inconsistent with the federal law. Here, the claim in federal court by the Trump administration is that those laws interfere with the enforcement process of immigration, which is solely within the domain of the feds. So, excuse me, I'm not sure that those state laws violate federal law. It may make it more difficult to pursue them. But again, immigration is totally within the federal context and the federal authority. It's got nothing to do with Illinois state. So I think Pritzker feels good about his position. And we'll see what the federal judge says or the federal judges say about all of this.
Well, I had it in my head. So interfere with the state laws is one thing, but does the federal law supersede the state laws when it comes to the ICE raids?
Well, it can't be. The state laws can't be inconsistent. So federal law for immigration would normally supersede any state laws. But here in Illinois, it's not. These laws aren't about immigration. The law doesn't require the states to cooperate or to call ICE, or if they know someone's there illegally, whether they're committing a crime or not, it doesn't require cooperation. There's no law that requires cooperation, which is why you call them sanctuary cities. I'm not endorsing illegal activity by immigrants or non-immigrants for that matter. But from a purely legal standpoint, Illinois state laws that say we don't have to cooperate, we don't have to call ICE or the feds if we know of someone who's here illegally, there's nothing unlawful, illegal, or even immoral about that if that's what the states feel, if that's what the citizens of the state of Illinois feel. And so I may be parsing hairs here or drawing a line between federal and state law, but it's a real line that's drawn in the Constitution.
Well, and what do you make of the idea that they started with Chicago? Like, that was the first city where they're filing the lawsuit in the state of Illinois. Does that send a message?
The feds are banking on that the overwhelming number of people and immigrants there that came from Texas were sent by Republican governors and that have overwhelmed the system in Chicago and New York. They certainly want to send a message. Remember, they started these sweeps in Illinois as well, because they believe they've got political support there from the Illinois residents and citizens because the system has been overwhelmed. Well, but those same citizens voted for sanctuary city legislation and have endorsed it. And again, it's a blue state. It's got a blue state. It's got a blue Congress, state legislature and Senate, as well as a blue governor, if you will, all Democrats and stuff. So this is ground zero on a showdown on this immigration piece. And they're trying to get the courts, and if they can get the Supreme Court to really shut down, they think this is a good test case to shut down sanctuary cities and have them ruled to be illegal.
Yeah.
And legislation like that to be illegal. Well, they're going to start in Illinois.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.